They found it.
Yep. Can you go make sure it's there first? Thank you. Orange case, Miss Thompson?
Yes.
Supervisor, how are you?
Rushed.
How's PSAT's been?
Very educational.
Good. Yep, she'll have to sit here until they reorganize. And then
They have it. They have it. They have it. Thank you. Thank you. God is
he said
good.
he would put a note on it and keep it behind the desk.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay.
Constantly trying to like.
So I rushed in. I would like to do the Pledge of Allegiance tonight because I rushed so much. Appreciate it.
All right, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Gottschall. I am the Lower Paxton Township Manager. In typical fashion, I'm going to give a brief summary of this evening's agenda, particularly for the benefit of those who may be watching at home on television. This evening is a business session of the board. We have a number of items on the agenda. First to include, beginning directly with the administration of the oath of office to our newest supervisor, Jill Vecchio. After that, following, the board will take a number of action items related to the reorganization of the Board of Supervisor. This includes items such as the election of the chair and vice chair, as well as the appointment of the secretary, the treasurer, and the assistant secretary and treasurer of the board. Following that, the board will take action on the approval of minutes. I'm actually head under old business, which includes action on item creating a contract for the township fuel facility replacement project. Then under new business, the board will take action to administer an oath to our stormwater EIT and MS4 coordinator. And then the board will take action to approve the improvement guarantees, the payment of township and authority bills, hear any final announcements, and then finally make a motion to adjourn. With all that said, members of the board are being seated and preparing to conduct business. Thank you very much.
Thompson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, in accordance with the Sunshine Act, I'm going to make a couple comments before we proceed with this meeting. I was at PSATS this week, which stands for Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors. I took a number of different workshops. One of the workshops that I took dealt with the Right to Know Act and the Sunshine Act. With regards to the Sunshine Act, I specifically asked the attorney, Josh Bond, who was teaching the class, if you have a website, must you post meetings on the website, and how do you do that? He said they have to be posted 24 hours prior to the meeting. With Mrs. Vecchio, this is not personal, okay? Do understand that. We failed to do that with regards to the meeting on April 29th, when we took, at the meeting where we took the vote for Mrs. Vecchio. Being the kind of person that I am, I double-checked. I went into Google and I asked this question. In Pennsylvania, under the Sunshine Act, if a township has a website, must they post meeting notices on the website? The answer that came back was yes. Under the Sunshine Act in Pennsylvania, if a township has a website, it must post meeting agendas on the website. This requirement, enacted through Act 65, ensures that the public has access to meeting agendas at least 24 hours before the meeting. The agenda must also be posted in the agency's principal office and at the meeting site. With regards to this meeting on April 29th, where Mrs. Vecchio was appointed to the board, we failed in our notice. The notice was defective. What I understand was the notice regarding the April 29th meeting did not get posted. The meeting happened on Tuesday, April 29th. The meeting notice did not go up on the website until Wednesday, April 30th. So, according to the Sunshine Act, your appointment is void.
Madam Solicitor, can Mr.
Yeah, do you want me to
Manager,
jump
can
in
you
there,
talk
sir?
About the
Sure.
posting of the,
Yeah, sure, yeah. So actually, every Friday, I personally post the agendas. This was no exception. For the April 29th meeting of the Board of Supervisors, the agenda was posted online April 25th at 5:41 PM. So I'm not quite sure, Supervisor, what you're referring
I'm being
to.
told by community members is that when they went to look for the meeting notices, that they were not available prior to the meeting on Tuesday. That's the confusion that I'm sitting with now, and that's why I asked the question that I asked you're not gonna use it, at the meeting.
Well, it seemed to be, ma'am, not a question, but a statement which was incorrect. The agenda was posted April 25th at 5:41 PM, so I'm not sure what is being
Posted
relayed to
where?
you. To the website, under its typical location.
Okay, I'm going to need to see some kind of.
I could show you the data, sure, and I wish you would have actually just asked the question. I mean, we're happy to answer these questions if posed, and instead of at the meeting accusing us of not posting it, you could just simply ask us that.
Well, I trusted the information that I got from the community residents. And in addition, I'm not going to be able to go along with Ms. Vecchio's appointment to the board for several reasons, and I want to get it on record, so I will go ahead. Based on what was said by the chair of the Republican Committee, it appears that Mrs. Vecchio had an undue advantage by being able to present information to the Republican Committee, presenting information to the Republican Committee. This is only supposed to be, once again, a boss responsibility. I understand, based on the discussion on April 29th, that she got to make a presentation to the Republican Committee, and it was discussed and mentioned that other applicants to the board for the vacancy did not get that same opportunity. So once again, we're looking at an undue advantage that an applicant had who shouldn't have been going before the Republican Committee in the first place. So it really is, it speaks to ethics, and it speaks to integrity, and I am not comfortable with someone sitting on the board who feels like, particularly when they're an attorney, and I understand that they've taught ethics to other individuals. I'm not comfortable with an attorney sitting on the board when they engage in these kinds of activities. It's not a responsibility of the Republican Committee to engage in interviewing our candidates for a vacancy.
Supervisor Thompson, have you concluded your comments?
I would like to make a motion to rescind Mrs. Vecchio's appointment to the board. I want the board to realize that their silence in Mrs. Vecchio's rescission is being complicit with not following the rules as outlined in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Second Class Township Code, Section 407. So I would like to make a motion to void her vacancy or, her appointment, or rescind her appointment and
rescind
Anita-
her appointment on what basis, Supervisor Thompson?
because it was done in an inappropriate manner with the involvement of the Republican Committee.
Okay, that's not correct.
As was discussed at length on April 29th. They admitted their involvement.
No.
They admitted that Mrs. Vecchio made a
Yes, she did.
to
It had
the-
nothing to do with the Board of Supervisors action.
Of course it did, because she's sitting here tonight with 4 votes, your vote, 3 votes. Mr. Najim's vote, your vote, and Mrs. Kurtz's vote from all 3 Republicans from the Republican committee. So of course it did have something to do with that relationship. It was
Manager
unethical.
Gutschall, you can absolutely verify that the correct announcement was made on our website the week before the Tuesday night 29th meeting?
In
I
fact-
believe I saw it. I don't want to go on my memory. You can absolutely verify that?
Yeah, emphatically, yes. The website tells me exactly when it's posted, 5:41 p.m., as well as actually I typically every Friday send an email to senior staff with a copy of the agenda so I can pull up in my email as well when that email was sent, and it would probably be approximately 5:41 p.m. on the 25th as well.
Solicitor Madden, are we on solid legal standing with what we've just heard from from the manager?
So long as the, excuse me, so long as the agenda was properly posted, the meeting was properly held, and the actions were properly taken.
All right, I'm going to explain something to the people here. I'm going to explain it to the people that are watching on television. It is absolutely a fact that Joe Vecchio had an opportunity to speak to the Republican Party of the Lower Paxton Township Republican Committee. Now, what you all need to understand is that when Laura Kurtz and Alan McCormick were appointed to the board, we were appointed to the board in advance of the deadline to get our names placed on the primary ballot in May 20th. Because of that, both Supervisor Kurtz and Supervisor McCormick logically, correctly, legally got nominating petitions signed by enough electors in the township to have our names properly placed on the ballot. However, the deadline to have names placed on the ballot through the process of getting a nominating petition signed had passed. We had 2 other resignations to the Board of Supervisors. That was Supervisor Judd and Supervisor Navarro. Supervisor Judd left with a 4-year balance of his term remaining. Supervisor Navarro left with a 2-year term on his, a 2-year period of time left on his term. By law, it is absolutely the purview of the local various parties, both the Democrat and the Republican Party, to nominate names to be placed on the ballot for those other 2 positions that Laura and I, Supervisor Kurtz and Supervisor McCormick, would not be filling with our correctly processed nominating petitions. Because the local Republican and, by the way, Democratic Party need to place those names on the ballot, it is my understanding that the Republican Party in Lower Paxton Township interviewed several candidates, and I will tell you, I'm a member of that committee, and I was there the night that Joe Vecchio spoke to the committee. I do not know if other people were invited. I do not know if they wanted other people. I don't know if they had other Republican candidates that spoke to them privately or in some other way. But the actions, I'm not here to defend the actions of the Lower Paxton Township Republican Committee because I don't represent them. I am a member. But I cannot tell you what or why they did what they did. At our last meeting, Supervisor Thompson indicated that it was absolutely inappropriate for that Republican Party to interview people before the Bureau of Elections notified them that they needed to come up with 2 names to put on the ballot. Well, if you are intellectually unaware of what the law is, and you wait until the Bureau of Elections tells you that they need 2 names, then you're probably a little bit behind the 8 ball, a little bit behind the times. What the Republican Party did was they interviewed candidates for them to put names on the ballot, which is exactly what they should do and appropriately what they should do. Otherwise, names would not appear on the ballot for two of the positions that are there. I'm assuming, I don't know this, I'm assuming the Democratic Party is also going to put two names on the ballot, which would be required by the Bureau of Elections based on these vacancies. Now, assertions have been made by Mrs. Thompson, Supervisor Thompson, and other people in the audience that somehow this Board of Supervisors was influenced by what the Lower Paxton Township Republican Committee did. I will tell you that's not a fact. That is not accurate. I will tell you that I received letters of recommendation on many of the candidates from several people. I was stopped in the street. I was stopped at the coffee shop and said, you should appoint XYZ to that position. I cannot stop people from talking. And certainly, when multiple people give you recommendations, you take that into consideration in your process. But that's not how Mrs. Vecchio nor Mr. Regime were appointed to the board. They were appointed to the board through a vigorous evaluation of almost 25. I think some people decided, once they understood what the actual job was, they decided not to continue to be considered for appointment. So I think we ended up with maybe 21 candidates. I think something around that number. I believe that your motion is out of order, Supervisor Thompson. I believe that Supervisor Vecchio was appointed by this board in a proper manner. I believe that she has been sworn in, she has taken the oath of office, and I'm willing to move forward with the seating of her unless my solicitor can tell me I can't do that. That's what we are going to do this evening.
I will address this again. I have been sharing this section of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Second-Class Township Code since about January. Section 407 does not have any place for any other party to be involved in the appointment of supervisors to the board.
And no other party was involved.
Mrs. Vecchio made a presentation, or for lack of a better word, presentation about her qualifications to the Republican Committee, as was shared by one of the Lower Paxton Township residents in the meeting on April 29th.
And it was
That
it was absolutely appropriate for her to make that presentation to that group of people as they considered who to endorse for the November election. It had nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with her appointment by this Board of Supervisors as an interim appointment to serve until the November election.
I have my motion on the floor.
Is there a second to the
rescind.
motion?
Is there a second for the motion?
You cannot add the motion without moving to amend the agenda first. Only add motions to the agenda for very specific carve-outs that usually arise as either emergencies.
I consider this an emergency.
Can I consider this motion to be out of order and inappropriate? Can I rule that, Solicitor?
Well, Supervisor Thompson is within her purview to move to amend the agenda. Whether or not she receives a second is what it is.
Is there a second to Supervisor Thompson's motion? Is there a second to Supervisor Thompson's motion? One last time, do any members of the Board of Supervisors wish to second the motion made by Supervisor Thompson?
So without a second, then you all are complicit in this inappropriate appointment, and I will make my next steps.
Supervisor Thompson, it is your opinion that someone is complicit in some sort of conspiracy or some sort of inappropriate action, which is incorrect. Hearing no second, the motion fails. We will move on with the agenda. Administration of the oath of office, Supervisor Jill Vecchio. Is Jill here?
Paxton Township as Lower Paxton Township Supervisor.
The next item on the agenda this evening is the reorganization of the Board of Supervisors. The first item under that action item is the election of the chair of the board. Do I have a motion to nominate a member of the board to serve as chair for the remainder of this year?
Public comment?
Public comment is going to, well, I suppose you can give public comment on this action item, yes.
Okay, because I see it's lower on the agenda after this
Yes,
is done.
so just so everyone everyone in the room's benefit, public comment at this time is limited to the reorganization itself.
Yes. And I feel that it's obvious who should be the chair of this board. We have one member of the board, one member who was actually elected by the people of Lower Paxton Township. Also, that member of the board, I'll state my name, Jay Purdy, 4731 Duke Street, Harrisburg, Lower Paxton Township. Also, that one elected member of the board has more experience than all 4 of you other supervisors combined. She has more than that. And she has also demonstrated tonight and at previous meetings, she knows the second-class township code. However you wish to interpret it, that's up to you. But I think that ethically and obviously, there is only one person who should be elected as chair of this board. And it's somebody who I don't always agree with, but she has always stood, that I know, for what is right and correct. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Purdy.
Any other comments on reorganization? And I should have mentioned this before, but please state your name and address before.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dr. Charles Stewart, 1440 Karen Drive. I just like to ask a question. Is there a procedure that states anywhere that the longest person on the board automatically goes in the chairman's spot? Or is that just a thing to do as far as voting for it? You understand what I'm saying? Is there an automatic procedure where whoever's on the board the longest, or whoever was like that, or been there the longest, is the next person to move into the chairman spot, or no?
There is no written requirement that I'm aware of for anything like that.
Okay. All right. That was a question I wanted to ask, and in my view, I think the person that should be, who is on there the longest, it just happens to be Ms. Thompson, who's on there the longest, or who's at least elected by the citizens should go in, but that's my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart.
My name is Joe Lindsay, 6244 Overview Lane. I'm not going to make any recommendation of who you should appoint or vote for as the chair, and I want to congratulate you on being appointed this evening. I would like to recommend that you do not vote for Mr. McCormick, because as the chairman of any board, you are the face of the board, you are the face of the township. And the most important thing, and this applies to the board members as well, but mostly important to the chairman, you must have integrity. He doesn't have any, in my opinion. Thank you.
Any other public comment on reorganization? Going once? All right. At this time, the Chair Pro Tem will accept a motion to nominate a board member to serve as chair for the remainder of the year.
Solicitor, I would like to motion to table the reorg. I feel like Supervisor Vecchio just got on board, and just give us a little more time to be 100% sure and on who we would like to appoint or vote for as chair.
There has been a motion to table the reorganization of the board. Is there a second?
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Supervisor.
So one of the other things that I've been researching is what rules we use to conduct our meetings. As far as I know, we have not adopted any rules to conduct our meetings. So the tabling of this item that Mr. Najim just mentioned, I've seen it under Robert's Rules of Order, but we're just pulling it out of the air right now when he mentions it. We have no guidance to conduct our meetings with tabling motions, postponing motions, and whatnot. So what I would definitely like to do tonight is go ahead and adopt, it would be new business, go ahead and adopt Robert's Rules of Order so that we have specific guidance as to how we can conduct our meetings.
Again, Supervisor Thompson, we'd have to vote to amend the agenda to put that under new business. I'm not positive it fits within one of the exceptions to amending the agenda without the 24-hour notice. But I also am unfamiliar if this board has ever formally adopted Robert's rules. My general guidance on tabling specifically is that only a motion and a second are necessary. No vote to affirm that motion is necessary, specific to tabling.
So what is your guidance?
In terms of whether the board should adopt rules for the meetings?
Yes.
So I don't think you can do it tonight either way. I think it's certainly worth investigating. I don't want to give guidance on adopting specific rules if there have been rules adopted. If there have not been, I think it's prudent to adopt rules. Whether or not it's Robert's rules or an amended version of Robert's rules is at the discretion of the board.
Yes, since I've been on the board since January 2nd, 2024, we never adopted any rules to.
Why didn't you do that previously, Supervisor Thompson?
I'm sorry.
Why did you not do that previously if you've been here for a year?
Why didn't I do it previously?
Right.
Because the meetings were running smoothly, so I deferred. If you recall, I was the supervisor who was the least tenured supervisor. So I deferred to my senior supervisors with regards to how they were conducting the meetings, and the meetings were going smoothly. So that's the answer to the question.
As you mentioned previously, if an item is not on the agenda, it can't be voted on. So we clearly don't have the request of Robert's rules on the agenda. So if we wanted to vote on that, we would have to make sure it appeared on the agenda for next week's meeting.
Is there time for comment yet or no?
Not yet on, I have to finish out reorg. Sorry.
It's on this.
On reorganization generally,
Talking about right now.
reorganization, go ahead.
So as to tabling, I don't know, oh, John Packer, 5723 Kenwood Ave. If you're the solicitor, if you don't know the answer as to what township bylaws, charter, whatever it says and how you conduct meetings, then the tabling seems to be the only answer to me. Okay, because if you're unaware of how this is supposed to run, and right now you're the chair, and Mr. McCormick, you've been the chair, so you should have known how to run meetings. And which right now you're not, she is. Okay, so she's the one who gets to call the shots until you guys do this. But if you don't have a procedure that you're following on how to even do this, then yeah, now you're getting into some really muddy water from this point on. So as a resident sitting here watching this, I would surely rather see you take a step back, figure out how this township is supposed to be run, and and I've sat on boards. There's usually a constitution and bylaws, and it lays out exactly how this is gonna go. So you're gonna tell me a township that's been erected since 1767, we don't have one in hundreds of years? We don't have anything to outline how we do business. That is an absolute and utter failure if that is the case.
If, of course, that's the case. And of course, again, I've been here actually since 2018, Ms. Supervisor, and we have been using during that entire tenure a Roberts Rules formation of meeting conduct. So could it be the case back to 1700s, the township established Robert's Rules as that basis? Very possibly. But it's not something that the board annually takes action on to reaffirm what formation of meeting conduct it utilizes. So we'll do research on what exact formation that may be and get that to the board as soon as possible.
My guess is that if the board at some point took action on adopting a specific set of rules, that it would have been several decades ago. That would be typical. There's currently a motion pending to table the reorganization of the Board of Supervisors. Is there a second?
I'll second.
The motion's been made and seconded. The reorganization will be tabled, and I will hand the meeting back over to Supervisor McCormick.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of January 14th, 2025 workshop. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
We have a motion properly made and seconded to approve the minutes of January 14th, 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it.
I'm going to abstain from that vote because I was not a seated supervisor at that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but I figured it would be okay.
Solicitor, do we have to have 3 votes to approve if we're a board of 5? It appears we have 2 people that want to abstain from approving the minutes.
Yes, you have to have 3 to approve when you're a seated Board of
And Solicitor, would you confirm for us? So we're approving the minutes in the form prepared by the recording secretary? Right, so this is a customary approval that needs to occur, whether or not we were in attendance at that meeting? That's correct. Okay. And I did watch all of these on video for the record, so I'm comfortable.
We did get them in our packet. Do we need to do the vote over again? All those in favor of approval of the minute signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
It appears we have 3 votes. Now time for public comment. I will mention that public comment is limited to 5 minutes. At our last meeting, we had a little bit of a somewhat confusing situation with people running up and back and forth to the microphone. I want everyone to understand, please give your name and your address. Also limit your comments to 5 minutes to the topic that is up for discussion at the time. And if you go over time, I will remind you, there will not be another repeat of the meeting we had, the comments we had last meeting. Yes, sir.
My name is Benjamin Jones. My address is 13 Pemberton Drive in Adams County. I am not a resident of this township. I have a document here that I've prepared, and I'm going to read it. It's going to be brief, and then I'm going to leave. My name is Benjamin Jones. I'm the police officer the Board of Supervisors voted to grant a disability pension at last week's meeting on April 29th. My last day of work was April 30th. The only reason I was aware of this is because I pay attention to the weekly agenda for Lower Paxton. I was never formally notified the vote was going to occur, nor were my superiors. I wanted to highlight these issues at last week's meeting, but the emotion of the event was too much to bear. During this entire process, I have felt neglected and ignored. The feeling continues to hold true. Currently, I am struggling with the township to review details of my disability pension. As of this morning, the following topics were still unknown: health insurance, time payout, and workman's comp benefit. As of this afternoon, the workman's comp company discussed their benefits with me, and Dr. Gaines responded to an email about health insurance, but only after I emailed the Board of Supervisors and left a voicemail for Brad Gottschall. Dr. Gaines advised he is working with the health plan administrator and should have an answer tomorrow. He also highlighted that per the union contract, only you and your spouse receive health insurance benefit. If the township would have reached out to me prior to my retirement, they would have understood the concessions I would have made to get my kids on the insurance, even up to foregoing my own. I could continue speaking and share the majority of my experience that led to the disability pension, but for the sake of the township and conducting official business, I will conclude. What I will tell you is the experience was much the same as it is now: neglect and ignore. I'll pray for the township. The 8 years I spent policing in the public was truly an honor. The men and women I served with are second to none. They will always be a part of my family. My simple plea is that you pay attention, is that you care, and finally, you communicate. I am afraid failure to do so will result in very hard times for this township. I thank the Board of Supervisors for allowing me to speak with one ad lib, because I wrote this before I received also an email from Mr. Miller, which I could only interpret as damage control, because I've stayed quiet for more than 2 years, and I'm tired, and my family's tired, and I'm done. This needs to be brought to light. The employees of this township need to be cared for. I know it's a big township, and I know there's a lot going on, But if an employee is ever in my situation ever again, I pray that you do not treat them how you treated me, because it has done lasting damage. And once I can finally put this to bed, I pray that I never think about it again, because it is truly haunting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your service, officer.
Miss,
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for emailing the board. We appreciate it.
So Bob Baker, 626 Lancaster Avenue. I wasn't speaking tonight, but if what this man says is true, that's a travesty. And there should be no reason why his kids aren't covered under insurance. And this isn't the first time that we've heard that this township doesn't communicate. So Mr. Gutschall, that falls to you. And there's been a lot of complaints since I've come to these meetings about how you treat people. And I think this board really needs to look into that. Because if an officer of the law who is serving this community feels that way, there's a real problem. There's an issue. And that issue seems to be with you. So as a board, I encourage you to look into this, because there's absolutely no reason why an officer of the law who supports this community should be treated like that. That's absolutely disgusting.
I just want to make clear, board, if I may, for the record, the official record, that the previous Board of Supervisors actually had done an investigation into a number of accusations that had been made against myself, Mr. Miller, and others. Township spent tens of thousands of dollars on that investigation. The investigation was done by a third-party law firm. The investigation found no instances of impropriety or foundation of the accusations. So such an investigation had already been conducted to success. And as is known by everyone, there are multiple sides to every story. So that's all I can say about that. Mr. Jones will be taken care of. There are a number of complexities with his case. There are personnel in nature that have to do with collective bargaining agreements and other legal statutes, and so we will be addressing those with Mr. Jones personally, one-on-one. And we appreciate his both his service, but also his attendance tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Gutschall, would you mind sharing the investigation with the board members that have not received a copy?
I would love to, ma'am, but I actually myself have not received a copy. So all I was given was a summary of that investigation and a conclusion that there was nothing with foundation to that investigation. So I would love to, but I don't have a copy of it myself.
Only board
Mr.
members
Gutschall,
can give
who conducted the investigation and who has the complete report? We should be able to get a copy of it, right? You'll give us that information?
I will certainly give you the contact information.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you.
Thank you.
It's my turn now? Thanks. Charles Stewart, 1440 Karen Drive. I'm not up here posturing or anything. It only makes common sense. We take care of our law enforcement officers. We take care of their family. I'm 30 years law enforcement, 6 years narcotics in South Philadelphia. State takes care of me. There's no doubt about it. Takes care of me, takes care of my wife, takes care of my kids. We go out there and we put our lives on the line every day. PTS is always a known problem with this issue. That young man's put 8 years in this job. You take care of him. You take care of his family. No speeches, no excuses, no trying to do whatever. Just take care of him. That's all. Take care of him and then his family. Especially when it comes to kids. And I'll tell you this right now, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. If this township doesn't take care of his kids, I will. I'll find a way. Because that's just sad. Let's have some compassion here and stop being so asinine. Mr. Vecchio, welcome to the group. Thank you.
Dr. Stewart, I just want you to understand that everybody on this board cares about that man and cares about his situation. We can't speak about personnel matters in public, but I will tell you that there are a lot of governing rules and regulations that bind us in certain ways. And I will tell you, if there's a way to get done what needs to be done, if we can find that way, we will do what is right for Officer Jones. Again, I want to tell you that I think sometimes people believe that the Board of Supervisors can wave a magic wand and make things happen. There are rules, regulations, laws, etc., that we don't like either. So I promise you, we'll do the best investigation we can, and we will come to the best outcome we can.
Mr. McCormick, I appreciate your statement. Again, let's take care of this officer. Stop talking, let's take care of this officer and his family. We'll find a way. Find a way. You find a way to do everything else in this township. Find a way to take care of this officer and his children. That's all. Thanks.
Dr. Stewart, thank you, and done.
John Packer, 5723 Kenwood Ave. I just want to echo the statements of the doctor and gentleman back here that you guys need to find a way, and I thank the officer for his service. I spent 25 years in law enforcement. But what I find disturbing about this is, one, his sentiments of his feelings of him and his family. And then he sat up there and you told him last week in public he's going to be taken care of. And now, a week later, he's sitting here and he doesn't know what's going on. That's an absolute failure on the management's part and the supervisors, because you shouldn't have got up there and said that and not had all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted, because that's not right to continue to put him through that.
Joe Lindsay, 6244, overviewing. I have a question. Is the career firefighter going to be on next week's agenda or the following week's agenda? Do we know that yet?
Career firefighters, we've invited the 3 fire companies to.
Is it going to be next week or the following week, mister? That's all I ask you. I don't need.
Yes.
It's going to be on next week?
Yes.
All right, thank you. First, I'd like to address what has been opened up here. This is a shame. This is a shame. The problem, and I wasn't going to say anything, but the problem is quite obvious in this township. It's the manager. We're going to recognize all the first responders tomorrow night out at Heroes Grove. We lost a police officer this past year, unexpectedly. Wasn't in the line of duty, it was unexpectedly. The manager was given one job to do. One job. To get a spray of flowers from the Board of Supervisors to be displayed at the funeral at Halifax High School. And this is not hearsay, because I was at the funeral. I had to check on the stage 3 times to see if there was a spray there from the township. My wife was on the board then. She's the one that thought she had made arrangements through our manager to do that. She got on the phone and called him. He said he forgot. All right, you forgot. But you know what? To this day, he's not even apologized. Not even apologized. And then he comes up here and says, and he wants everybody to defend him on allegations before. Ladies and gentlemen of this board, I'm talking to the new ones. You need to make sure he knows he works for you, because right now, the last 3 years or so, he has run this board. And people outside the township have run this board. Loman Henry, Everett Hamilton. Everett Hamilton has a meeting with this guy at least once a month, if not more. March 18th, 11:30, Gilligan's. Your manager and your human relations person is having lunch with him at Gilligan's. And he picks up the tab. Now you're saying, well, we're just having lunch. But the common citizen looks at that as inappropriate. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, this is a manager that's supposed to be working for everybody in the township. And then we wonder, how did the Republican Party get the applications? You don't got to be a rocket scientist now to figure that out. To the 4 new board members, let's return public service to the Board of Supervisors and not wannabes or politics. Because as I've been told, and I've lived by it, and my wife did too, but it wasn't good enough for the other members of the board before. When you get on the dais, you set aside your R, you set aside your D. You are a public servant. Now, if I may, and I know I'm going to exceed my 5 minutes, but I'd like to speak real quickly on the career firefighter program. There was a study done a year or so ago that ended with this recommendation for the firefighter program. It was approved and accepted by all 3 fire departments in writing. It's because we don't have enough volunteers between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. to cover the fire calls in the township. This past Friday, Colonial Park was out of service. One other time last year, Colonial Park was out of service, and our manager decides to park a fire truck at the Public Works building and assumes that those Public Works people who are certified to be firemen can drive the truck, even though they're there being paid to be Public Works individuals. But my point is this. This was a political agenda of your interim chairman. This was passed by the board because it was recommended through a study and also recommended by the public safety director and our assistant fire chief. I think Mr. Graham, that is his classification. I'm sorry if it's not, but he also approved it. If we're not going to believe and take into consideration what these gentlemen are telling us, then cut the budget. We don't need them. But the problem was this. The manager and the assistant manager didn't want it to start out. So then at the last minute, they want to throw a monkey wrench in for about unionization. That has no bearing on this. This is about the public safety of 55,000 plus members of this community. And they have, by doing this, they have stalled the implementation of this program. They should have been hired by now, or at least hired by the 1st of June. It's not going to happen. We need to get this passed, and I'm urging the 4 new members, because I know we're the 5th member's going, because this is an agenda item, and he's going to talk until 10 o'clock on it, and that's fine, because I'm not going to stay and listen to it. This is something that you should vote to plan on unionization, but we don't know when that's going to happen. We have unions in the township now. They didn't start out that way. But no one ever said, if you go union, we've got to look at the salaries and maybe we might not be able to do it. It's whatever it is. But you can't put a price tag on public safety. So I urge the 4 new members to bring some common sense and public service to this board and rein in your manager. And you start governing the way it's supposed to be. He works for you, not any outside figures or entities. He works for 5 members of the Board of Supervisors. And if he can't handle it, then let him go somewhere else. Obviously, he's not happy here. He's looked at least at 3 other jobs since he's been here in 2018. Thank you, and good luck, because you're going to need it.
Members of the board, may I address a few items for the record?
Yes, sir.
A few items that I would like to clarify for the record. It's interesting to me to note that I meet at least once a month with Mr. Hamilton. I must be sleeping through those meetings, I'm not sure.
Mr. Hamilton.
Number two, if I may. And I was waiting for it last meeting, but it didn't come, so I was quite interested to have it come up tonight, that I actually had released applications of appointment to Mr. Hamilton, to whomever within the Republican Party. Emphatically false. I'd be happy to, if requested through the right to know process, release my emails or any other objectivity that you assess to clarify the fact that I did or did not release those applications. I'd be happy to share that information. It's empirically false. Number 3, once again, I've been accused of unilaterally making certain decisions. This time, the, quote, parking of a fire apparatus at the Public Works Department facility, emphatically false. And I would love to know who's indicating such unilateral action. But again, certainly did not come from me. And actually, I was made aware that had occurred after the fact. So the notion that I had unilaterally made that decision is, again, once again, emphatically false. I'm not sure where these rumors are emanating from, but I would appreciate some factual background to them, because somebody's out there creating a lot of drama, a lot of falsehoods, and at this point, quite frankly, it seems like a targeted, orchestrated attempt at either assassinating my character or impugning the integrity of this board, and it's quite toxic. So, thank you.
Mr. Hamilton is sitting right here. He told me last...
Mr. Lindsay, please sit down and be quiet, or I will have you removed. You had your 5 minutes. You will observe decorum. You will sit down and be quiet.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick.
You're welcome. Mr. Lindsay stood and he spoke, and he said several things. And unfortunately, as is typical with Mr. Lindsay, some things were maybe partially true and others were not. He did not mention that the MRI report that we're working with stated specifically that the Board of Supervisors should actively engage the fire companies and the public with this coming change. That's what we intend to do. The fire companies will be here on the 13th. There will be representation of all 3 fire companies so that we can hear what they have to say about the plans that they have to implement these career firefighters. Now, Mr. Lindsay said that those firefighters should have been hired by June 1st, and unfortunately, he doesn't know that before a firefighter, or he chooses to ignore, before a firefighter can be hired, he must be tested. We don't even have the testing seats reserved yet. In addition to that, we need to determine what the firefighters will be paid and how they will be compensated. And in a previous meeting, we voted to hire the experts to be able to decide that. Much to my chagrin, when Mr. Lindsay makes these bold statements that he does not have all the facts about, it impugns the character of this board. We are doing everything possible to follow through with an appropriate and prudent manner to review this entire matter and to get this right. I want everyone in this room and everyone sitting at home to know that this board is absolutely concerned. It's the first priority of this board, is the public safety. And we are concerned with public safety, which is why we're taking a very prudent and cautious steps to implement this. What we do in the next 6 months will set the stage for what happens in the next 6 years, the next 60 years. It is absolutely important to those 55,000 people that you said we need to be concerned about, and we are, that we get this right, and we will. We've had several meetings internal. There's several issues that you have no knowledge of. We spoke with Upper and Lower Marion Township about the way that they implemented their career firefighters. We are prudently investigating this so that we can do it right. Now, you may want us to do it faster than we're able to do it, and I'm sorry. But we're doing the best we can to do it prudently and responsibly, and that will benefit all the citizens of this township.
If I may, Robin Lindsay, 6244 Overview. I'd like to go back to Officer Jones. I'm going to try and hold myself back. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but his son was in the hospital today, 3 years old, with no insurance. Because of everything with what's going on with the township, he found out that he didn't have insurance for the child. So it's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars from today with his son being in the hospital. So I'm asking you, please, you need to take care of him. This needs to be taken care of now, not in 2 days, not in 14 days. It needs to be taken care of now. So please think about that while you're sleeping tonight, that he is thousands of dollars in debt because he doesn't have the insurance for his children right now. So please.
Thank you, Mrs. Lindsay. Is there other public comment? You already had your 5 minutes, Mr. Lindsay.
I'd like to address the 4 new members on this board. My comments to impugn you, I did not impugn you. You were not here. You're brand new. And unfortunately, you've got to put up with the integrity or lack of integrity of your interim chairman. Thank you.
Are there comments by the board members?
I would like to make a quick comment. There's been a lot of talk about me and my appointment to this board. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it went down. I sent my resume, application, cover letter to our township manager and the Board of Supervisors and asked to be considered for this position. I know that in the fall, the party will put 2 candidates. I'm assuming the Democratic Party will put a candidate on the ballot for this seat, and the Republican Party will put a candidate on the ballot for this seat. I sent my resume and cover letter to Everett Hamilton and the members of the Lower Paxton Township Republican Committee because I am seeking their endorsement for that appointment to the ballot in November. This board, I have no knowledge that anyone on this board shared anything with the Republican Party. I did, because I want to be the candidate on the ballot in November. I also wanted this appointment for this position now. So anything, I hope I've put all of that to rest because it was me. Thank you.
Mrs. Vecchio, I don't want to embarrass you nor put you on the spot, and if you don't want to answer this question, feel free to say I don't want to. But I interviewed you the Thursday before we made the appointment. Do you remember what I told you at that time?
Are you referring to your top candidates?
I said you were not among my top 3 candidates. Did I not say that?
That is correct.
Now, I called you 2:30 in the afternoon, and you took my call, and what did you say to me?
I was at work and I needed to call you after I was done.
To your credit, by the way, you said I can't take work time to talk about something that's important to me. I took that into consideration. How long did we talk? Half hour, 45 minutes, something like? When you called me back at 5:30 or 6:15, whatever it was after the work day. Yeah. And what did I say at the end of our interview?
That I had moved into your top 3 candidates.
Okay. So, is it possible? Do you believe that between the time we started our conversation and the time we ended our conversation, that somehow I was influenced by the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors about whether or not you should or should not be a candidate for the appointment? That would have been somewhat impossible, right?
Alan, I will tell you that I was pleased when you called me to interview me. I believed you were interviewing me as a current sitting Board of Supervisors member, and I was pleased that I was able to address your questions and after our conversation, make it into your top 3 candidates.
It was an excellent interview. You should be complimented for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other board member comments?
I would just like to make a comment about Kite Fest that was held last Saturday. I want to thank Director Scott and the entire Parks and Recreation Department. It was a wonderful event, and thanks to all of the community members for coming out. Appreciate it.
Are there any other board member comments? We will move on to the manager's report.
Manager Gottschall has no specific report, but I do have a notification to make to the board and residents in relation to a mark your calendar. So on Saturday, June 7th, the township has partnered with Penn Waste for the first of 2 Lower Paxton Township cleanup days that will occur in the township here in 2025, where you can bring excess trash and bulk items for disposal at no charge. This will include items with Freon as well. At the physical event, we'll be having the disposal units and several Penn Waste staff members on hand at the Penn Grant Center. That is at 777 East Park Drive. That's accessible off of Union Deposit Road, just down the stretch. Now, the logistics have not been set at the site. We haven't figured out the final exact hours yet. We're actually having a meeting this next week to go over the physical logistics to the physical event. And then that will kickstart the coordination of communications through our social media channels. We'll be doing event flyers to be placed at some of our local organizations, and our newsletter communications, and some of our other digital media to ensure that word gets out. And just make sure, again, to mark your calendar. Saturday, June 7th will be that date, 777 East Park Drive.
Anything else from the manager?
No, sir. Thank you.
We'll move on to old business. Action to award a contract for the Township Fuel Facility Replacement Project. We have Representative HRG, Adam.
Yeah, good evening. Adam Kuiper with HRG here. So this fuel facility project, this is for a replacement of the existing fuel facility over at the Public Works Building. That facility, I'm told, is quite old. It's at the end of its service life, and they need to install a new one. We had put this project out to bid and gotten a round of bids in February. We had 3 bidders. Previously, our cost opinion on that was approximately $1.2 million. The low bid on that came in at $1.3 million and went up. And because of the prices, we recommended that you reject the bids and rebid to attempt to get a lower price. In rebidding this, we have a new bidder who did not bid last time. Who was the low bidder this time. That low bidder is August Mack Environmental. They came in at $888,928, which is about almost $410,000 less than the first bid. In this bidding, we had 3 alternates. The first 2, we were going to choose one or the other. The third is completely optional. And the bids that we are recommending are, in addition to the base bid of $708,677, we're recommending alternate 1B, which is for the installation of a new canopy over the dispensers, the fuel dispensers, as opposed to trying to reuse the existing canopy, which is aged, shows signs of rust at the bottom. Potentially could be reused, but it's our opinion that if you're going to do this project, now's the time to provide a new canopy. We're also recommending alternate 2B instead of 2A. 2B is for the removal and disposal of the existing underground fuel tanks. Alternate 1B would have been to abandon them in place. To do that would have actually been a little bit more. It's preferable to remove them, and since there's a small savings there, we're recommending that as well. And we're also recommending alternate number 3, which is to provide a new light pole at the fuel island at a cost of $4,000. Together, those add up to that total of $888,928 that I mentioned earlier. And again, this is with August Mack Environmental, Inc.
Okay, do we have a recommendation then, or do we have a motion for the award of this contract? Supervisors?
Mr. Miller, we had talked about this particular bid a couple weeks ago when I was in reviewing checks, correct?
That is correct.
Should we have any concern about the fact that we've got an $888,928 bid versus previously we had a $1,300,000? We're getting all the work that we needed done?
I think our gentleman from HRG can confirm that. There were a change to the physical bid specification package.
It's essentially the same project. We did change how we worded some of the alternates.
Okay.
And I think as we had discussed, Ms. Thompson, at the initial point, there was confusion over the wording in relation to what was included in the base bid versus the alternatives in the initial supply. So this was really just to expand the language within that request, which then reached more clarity with the individuals and actually thankfully brought in our lowest bidder in this case.
Okay. I'm sorry,
Adam Kuiper.
Kuiper? Mr. Kuiper, is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay. So the $888,928 gives us everything that we need.
Correct.
All right. Okay. The previous bid session was not clear enough. Is that what the problem was?
It appeared two of the bidders may have, they put their numbers in the wrong place apparently. And the alternates would have been either a negative or a positive, and they put them in as positive values versus what we thought would be a savings where they would have put them in as negative values, which made the totals quite high. The low bidder did enter those numbers correctly. Previously, that was Pine Run. And in fact, this time, I assume to be more competitive, they actually did lower their bid from their original bid quite substantially. I believe by about $178,000.
Brought it down to what?
I'm sorry?
It brought it down to what?
Their bid this time was $1.121 million. And,
Okay.
evidently in this case, that was still not low enough as August Max still beat them.
All right, thank you.
One question, Mr. Kuiper. On alternate 2B, there's a wide range of, the quotes differ greatly. Is there a rationale that you can explain that?
I guess it depends. There's a lot of work involved with that. To remove the tanks, they've got to cut the concrete open. They've got to pull the tanks. They have to take confirmatory soil samples in the bottom and then backfill everything. If they're going to abandon the tanks in place, they're still going to have to remove the concrete. They're still going to have to take their soil samples, so they're going to have to excavate down in some way to get those samples. But they also have to cut open the top of the tank and get a man in there to actually clean the inside of the tank and then backfill that with concrete to properly abandon those in place. And it's up to the contractors to determine what level of work that difference is.
Okay.
In the case of August Mack, it was almost a wash between abandoning them or removing them. Again,
Okay.
removing them was slightly cheaper, but
Got it.
some of the others may have felt it was a little more work to do that.
Thank you.
Chair is waiting for a motion to award this contract.
I make a motion to award the Township Fuel Facility Replacement Project contract.
Second.
We have a properly made and seconded motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Next item of business is the administration of the oath of office to Stormwater Coordinator Larry Stepanski. Larry here.
I, Larry Stepanski,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support and obey and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and obey and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
that I will discharge the duties of code officer
and that I will discharge the duties of code officer
in Lower Paxton Township, Dauphin County,
in Lower Paxton Township, Dauphin County,
with fidelity.
with fidelity. Thank you, sir.
There's a lot of not so nice moments in doing this job. Doing something like this is one of those great moments. Thank you, Larry. Next item of business is subdivision and land development issues, the improvement guarantees.
So I reviewed the improvement guarantees with Mr. Miller. I have specific notes that I was provided. I'll make a motion to approve the improvement guarantees, all 7 of them. I need a second.
Second.
We have a properly made motion and second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda is payment of bills for Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority. We have several documents. Supervisor Thompson.
Having reviewed the various check registers in any area where I had a question, I specifically talked to Mr. Miller, the finance manager, about that, got a satisfactory answer, and I am prepared to make a motion to pay the township bills.
We have a motion to pay the township bills. Does that include the township authority bills?
I have the check register for check on demand, township and sewer. I have the Township Board of Supervisors, and I have the Sewer Board of Supervisors.
So that's all of them. You said township, okay. We have a properly made motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Properly made motion and seconded to pay the bills. All those in favor, is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Now is the time for announcements. I will tell you that the Board of Supervisors will be meeting in executive session after tonight's public meeting. Are there any other announcements?
I'd just like to say Happy Mother's Day prematurely to all of the moms, aunts, grandmas, other mother figures, pet moms out there. Wishing you some joy and peace and quiet on Sunday, and those that have lost their mothers or their children or are struggling or are wishing to be moms, wishing you some comfort and peace.
Are there any other announcements? Any announcements? Seeing none, the chair will, seeing that there are no other announcements, no other business to be conducted, Board of Supervisors meeting is adjourned.